Well, good morning, everyone, and welcome back to another exciting day in mathematics. Whoop, whoop. How's your 3-day weekend? Good? All right. So all electronic devices put away, please, including your pods. Last warning, I'm going to take them away. It's going to get a little bit tighter in regards to me keeping tabs on that because we're getting now into multi-steps on the concepts. You're going to notice today you're going to be like, oh, snap, I'm in Algebra 2. So today's you're going to notice a little bit of rigor cranking it up a bit. So warm-up number 67 is on the screen. Number 1 and 2, it says complete the, number 1 is complete the square. It gives us x squared plus 14x. Number 2 is simplify square root of -9. Number 3 is add, subtract, multiply, and divide. They give us two binomials, I minus 5 and I plus 2. And number 4, A says find the inverse function of f of x, and they give us for A, f of x equals x plus 2 over 5. And for B is f of x equals 2/3 x minus 5. I'll give you guys some time for that. Ready, go. All right. Number 1, complete the square, please. JP, go. Plus what? Plus 49. Hands if you got that. All right. Factors. Diego, Rosas. X plus 7 squared. Hands if you got that. That is correct. Number 2, Fredo. Square root of -9. 3i. That is correct. Number 4, add, subtract, multiply, and divide binomials. Have we done that? Yes, but a long time ago. So let's do this one together. I'm going to add first I minus 5 plus I plus 2. So what is I plus I? 2i. What is -5 and +2? -3. However, since this is an imaginary, can imaginary go in the first term? No. We write it as -3 plus 2i. That's a complex number. Let's go to subtraction. I minus 5 minus, parentheses, I plus 2. So you never see if they remember what to do with this negative here when it's subtraction, please. See if they remember. Ivan, what do I do? Distribute. Yes, we distribute into the parentheses, so this is -I and -2. Now we combine. What is I minus I? 0. What is -5 and -2? -7. Next, multiply. I minus 5 times I plus 2. Now, how many ways have we multiplied? We multiplied using the area model. You guys remember that? Yes. How about distributive property? Yes. How about vertically? Yes. I'm going to use distributive property. Here we go. What is I times I? I to the second. What is I times 2? Positive 2i. What is -5 times I? -5i. And what is -5 times 2? -10. Combine like terms. This becomes I squared minus 3i minus 10. All right. So let's see if we remember. Are we done? No, Mr. Q? What is I squared? Talk with your neighbor, and then we'll have Frida answer. See if your neighbor remembers. What is I squared? Well, let's see. Look up to the screen. We know that I is the same as square root of -1. Is that correct? Yes? So, Frida, if I is the same as square root of -1, What is I squared? Close. -1. That is correct. I squared is -1. Why, Mr. Q? Because look, to cancel this square root right here, we square it. Square it, yes. This cancels this, so that leaves us with what? I squared equals -1. So from now on, whenever you see an I squared, you're going to substitute what? -1. And you bring this down, -3i minus 10. Combine like terms, this one and this one, so that's -11 minus 3i. All right. So far so good, yes? Let's go to the last one, division, your favorite. Yeah. You got I minus 5 divided by I plus 2. So, let me move over here to the side, make some room. Oh, let me just do. Oh. All right, here we go. Division. I minus 5. I'm going to use long division. I plus 2. All right? So, let's see if you remember. Tell your neighbor, how do we start this one before I call on Frida? All right, Frida, go. What number times I gives me 1i? 1. Write that in there. So let's see, 1 times I is I. 1 times 2 is positive 2. Then we're going to subtract. That means we take this negative, distribute here and there. So, -5, -2, that's -7. There's no more terms, so that means that's my remainder. All right, so how do we write our answer? Frida, go. Let's go 1 plus -7 over I plus 2. Let's go. All right, let's go to number 4. Number 4. By now we are experts at these, yes? All right, help me out, please. Frida, go. Uh-huh. So before we subtract, what do we do first? Multiply by 5 both sides, yes. So then we end up with 5y equals x plus 2. And then? Subtract 2, subtract 2. 5y minus 2 equals x. And then? Switch the variable. So this is 5x minus 2 equals y. And then? F inverse x. Woo-wee. So far so good? All right, let's go to B. Let me pass it to Frida. Go. Yes, fx2y, 2/3 x minus 5. And then? Add 5, add 5. We got y plus 5 equals 2/3 x. The reciprocal, multiply this by the reciprocal to cancel it, but we do that to both sides. So this is a giant 1. 1 times x is x. So distribute, distribute. This is 3y plus 15 over 2. And then? Switch the variables. So this is 3x plus 15 over 2 equals y. F inverse of X. Woo-wee. Let's go. Now, check this out, guys. What if I wanted to graph this one right here? Okay, where would I start? Talk it over to your neighbor, then we'll ask Frida for it. Where would I start? All right, go, Frida. The -2 is our y-intercept, yes. And what is our slope? 5/1. That means 5 steps up and 1 to the right. That is correct. However, what if I wanted to graph this one? Does this one look like that? No, we need to rewrite it to look like that. Here we go. What is 3x divided by 2? That's 3/2x. What is 15 divided by 2? 7.5. And that's F inverse of x. And now our y-intercept is what? 7.5. What is our slope? 3 up and 2 to the right. All right, copy the agenda for today. Here we go. Warm-up number 67. We're now moving on to inverse of functions. And today we're going to culminate and finish this portion. I've been giving you plenty of practice on the warm-ups. You guys are experts at part of it. Today we're going to finish it off. And your home plate for tonight, pages 53 and 54. I'm going to upload that during lunch on Canvas, so make sure tonight you go there. And there is tutoring today. Be there or be elsewhere. Get a Cornell note, please. All right. So, over the weekend, I gave you guys the weekend for free, yes? And I said some of you needed to act like tomatoes and make sure you turned in stuff that you needed to turn in. Once again, home plate for tonight, 53 and 54. All right, our objective for today, I can identify and graph an inverse of a function. I can identify and graph an inverse of a function. Set up a Cornell note. You don't need a Ferrier model. Here we go. Once again, I can identify and graph an inverse of a function. So what concept are we still on, everyone? Function. Tell your neighbor the definition once more, please. All right. Definition, Frida, what do you think? A relation that for every input has an exact output. And I gave you guys this, right? And we know that if I was to give you this relation with a bunch of points, if one of the x values repeats, such as -2, the output should be the same as the first time it was encountered. There it is. And over here on the none example, we have -2, 3, and over here is -2, 7. That's why it's not a function. All right. So let's move on. Writing utensils down, look up to the screen. Here we go. It's going to go pretty fast, so stay focused, please. Stay with me. Here it goes. Example Q. Don't copy this. And it reads, identify the inverse of the function using a mapping diagram. Let's think back to when I first introduced functions. Remember that I showed you how to do mapping diagrams? Yes? Those of you that forgot, they look like this. A domain, a range, and they're called mapping because we map each of these to their corresponding output over here, like so. Can you get the door, please, Caleb, please? Thank you. So, this is a function. Now, before I do the next portion, keep in mind to what we've been doing with inverses. Look at the warm-up. Frida gave us this. Tell your neighbor at what point it became the inverse and why. At one point it became the inverse and why. Where did it become the inverse? Okay, everybody got it? All right. So, at what point did it become the inverse? Frida. When you switch the y and the x. Okay. So with that said, look up to the screen. I'm not even going to say anything, but think about it. If I asked you to write me the inverse function of this one using mapping diagrams, picture it now with the information that we know. Ready? Let's see if you got it correct. Tell your neighbor why that's the inverse, please. All right? We got it, yes? So with that said, copy this one, example omega cube, domain range. There's that function, and then I want you to write me the inverse over here. I'll give you some time. Copy and go. All right, let's see. What'd you get for the domain? Frida. 3, 4, 5, 6. And the range? Hands if you got that. All right, we got this. Yes, from 1 to 5, I'll come to you with mapping functions and their inverses. Yeah, 5. Okay, that's one part of your home plate. Okay? Next, get your graph paper in front of you. Copy this one at the top left. Example super cube. It says graph -4, 2, 0, -3, 1, 2, and 4, 1. I want you to, if you have your pens, write that in blue. And then we're going to do the inverse in red. So copy that first, and then we'll get started. Copy and go. All right, so let's get this show on the road. Let's graph -4, -2, 0, -3, 1, 2, and 4, 1. Let's do that in blue. -4, -2, 0, -3, 1, 2, and 4, 1. Okay, there they are. But then it says, then graph the inverse. So, dictate to your neighbor the inverse of this function. Dictate to your neighbor the inverse. All right. Frida, pick someone. Anaya, go. -2, -4, -3, 0, 2, 1, and 1, 4. All right, plot those. -2, -4, -3, 0, 2, 1, 1, 4. All right. Now it says, reflective question. What do you observe about the graphs, which means those plots that we just graphed, the function and its inverse in relationship to y equals x? Or in other words, if we were to graph f of x equals x, let's see, -2, -1, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and so on and so forth. That is a straight line. Graph that straight line going through there. There it is. So this is known as y equals x or f of x equals x. So, question again, what do you observe about the blue one, which is the original function, and the red ones, the inverse function? Here's the original, here's the inverse, here's the original, here's the inverse, here's the original, inverse, original, inverse. Now, check this out. So you can bring it down into simple terms. Imagine we have a third grader come in right now through the door. You guys have any of those little people in your life, right? That you're eating hot Cheetos and they want the hot Cheetos and stuff, right? So think about this. They walk in, and then they're like, what are you doing? And then you're going to say, well, this line right here is a what, one word, in order for them to understand the original function from its inverse. Talk it over your neighbor. What would that be? What would be a word that you would tell them? One word. Let's see. Help us out, Frida. One word. Yes. It's a little person. A what? A guideline, yes, but remember, they're little people. They don't understand those big words. What do you think, Jose? What would that be? One simple word to explain to them that this is the original, this is the inverse. Jalen? What? One simple word. I don't know. JP? It's a reflective, yes. Now, would they understand reflective line? What would be a simple word? Mirror. Write that in there. It is working as a mirror. From now on, think about y equals x or f of x equals x as a mirror. Let's see if it's true. Here's my original first point, and look at the mirror image. Yep. Is it the same distance? Yes. Look at this one, and that one. Look at that one, that one, that one, and that one. They all are reflective or same distance apart. Okay? So far, first part, mapping. Do we know how to do that? Yes. Second part, do we know how to do inverses by plotting the inverses according to y equals x? Yes. From 1 to 5, I'll come provide you with this. Yeah, 5, 5, 5. Okay, let me give you one more for yourself. Here we go. Copy this one. Example, Shazam cube. -3, 9, -2, 4, -1, 1, 0, 0. And then graph its inverse. Once again, do the original in blue, the inverse in red, and do y equals x in black and see if it's true. I'll give you some time. Copy and go. If you have any questions, ask Frida. She's got it. All right. Let's see. Look up to the screen. Check your work. Hands, if you got that. That is correct. And are they reflecting off the mirror? Yes. Each point has the same distance away from that mirror. All right. From 1 to 5, I'll come provide you with this. Yeah, 5, 5, 5. We got this, right? All right. Let's crank it up about 5 notches, yeah? Yeah, imagine you're cruising, eating a burrito in Ocean Beach, feeling the breeze. And all of a sudden, everything's on fire. All right. Y'all ready? All right, on your Cornell notes, write this down, please. Example MJQ. Write down the instructions, please, completely, so you can have one exactly how it is, because that's how the homework is going to go. And it reads, find the inverse function f inverse of x for the given function f of x. Use composition to verify that the functions are inverses. And then graph the function and its inverse. The function that they give us is f of x equals -3x plus 4. Copy that, please, on your Cornell notes. Lose you. Here we go. First part, it says find the inverse. Do we know how to find the inverse of this one? Yes, Mrs. Q. All right, help us out, Frida. Go. Step by step. Give me a second. Let me start with blue. If you have your colors, have those in front of you. All right. Change f of x to y, and we end up with y equals -3x plus 4. Continue. Subtract 4. We end up with y minus 4 equals -3x. Continue. Divide by -3, divide by -3, so we end up with y minus 4 over -3 equals to x. And then switch the variables to make it the inverse. So we got x minus 4 over -3 equals y. And then change the y to inverse function of x, and the other side stays the same, x minus 4 over negative 3. All right. Label that inverse. Okay. Nice. So let's see where we're at on this problem. It says find the inverse. Did we find that? Yes. Okay, let's go to the second part. Use composition, which means use algebra, to verify. That word verify means to check. We're going to check. And this is the challenging portion, so stay with me. Okay, here we go. So first we're going to check that f of x, its inverse is f inverse of x. So how do we do that, Mr. Q? So look up, please. Don't copy this. Write your utensils down. You'll copy right after. Write your utensils down. Look up to the screen. Here we go. So I'm going to check that whenever I have f of x, at the end, I end up with just x on the other side. But instead of substituting in here any number, I'm going to substitute the entire function, which is the inverse function, f inverse of x. So I'm going to check, start with the original, substitute in there the inverse, and at the end, after I simplify everything, I should end up with x. Okay? So once again, writing utensils down. Please, Purdy, please, I'll have you copy right after. You'll have time. Ready? Here it goes. So I'm going to write my original. Look up, please. What's my original? All of this. Watch. Do you agree that I wrote that right there? Yes? That's f of x. But what am I going to substitute in here? I'm going to substitute the inverse. F inverse of x. And on this side, instead of writing f inverse of x, what is the inverse of x? X minus 4 over negative 3. X minus 4 over negative 3. Now check this out. Before you copy, look up to the screen. I'm going to zoom in and do the next step. Watch. I have a negative 3 multiplying here the parentheses. I'm going to put it over 1. So negative 3 times x, that's negative 3x. Negative 3 times negative 4, that's what? Positive 12. And all that over, 1 times negative 3 is negative 3. And then I just bring down the plus 4. Hold on before you copy. F inverse of x. Check this out. What is negative 3x divided by negative 3? 1x. What is 12 divided by negative 3? Negative 4, and I bring down the positive 4. And last but not least, what is negative 4 plus 4? And that leaves us with, did we end up with what we needed to end up with? Yes. Copy that, please. Yes? Yeah. All right, as you're finishing copying that, let me just recap every step on this problem. It started with find the inverse. Did we know how to do that? Yes. Step 2, use composition to verify, which is to check. This is only part of it. We're still not done. And what did we do? We started with f of x, and we were going to substitute f inverse of x, and at the end we need to end up with x by itself. We substituted f of x into f of x, the inverse of x, to both sides. We simplified, and at the end we ended up with x. Okay, we'll continue. So we checked the original, substituting the inverse. Well, guess what we're going to do now? Everyone, take the inverse And at the end, we need to end up with what? With x, right? So watch. F inverse. And at the end, we need to end up with x. But now what are we going to substitute in here? The original, f of x. All right, so here we go. Let's do this one together. So I'm going to write the original inverse of x. Here's my inverse right here. Down here, do you guys see it? So I'm going to write this one over here. F inverse of x equals to x minus 4 over negative 3. Does everybody see this one over here, right here? Yes? This one over here is right here. All right, but now instead of x, I'm going to substitute f of x. So what does f of x equal to, guys? Over here. Equal to what? Negative 3x plus 4. So that goes right here. Negative 3x plus 4. All right, let me zoom in. All right, so the left side is only a label, so we just rewrite it. And we simplify the right side. Here we go. I'm going to switch to green. Let's see, parentheses, negative 3x plus 4 minus 4. What is positive 4 and minus 4? 0. And we're left with negative 3x over negative 3. And last but not least, f inverse f of x. What is negative 3x divided by negative 3? X, yes. Did we end up with what we needed? Yes, of course. And now we check the inverse. Let me zoom out. Look how beautiful that is. Q merge, yeah, like a shirt. Bam! Let go. All right, so we're done with the first part. We're done with the second part. Now let's go to the third part. Graph the function and its inverse. So I'm going to write the function over here, this one. I'm going to bring it over here, and I'm going to write it in blue. F of x equals negative 3x plus 4. And the inverse, I'm going to write it over here as well, but I'm going to write it in red, F inverse of x. But it needs to look like this. So look at it. Does this one look like that? No. So let's make it look like that. What is the coefficient here of x? 1. So what is 1 over negative 3? It's negative 1/3 x. You guys see it right here? Right here. 1 divided by negative 3 is negative 1/3 x. Next, what is negative 4 divided by negative 3? Positive 1.3. All right. Ready? All right. So once again, suggestion, guys, from this point forward for the rest of the semester, as we are getting more into multifunctions, try to go to the restroom before you get here, because it's gonna be packed with stuff. Just give me a heads up. Let's graph this. What is my y-intercept right here? Y-intercept is positive 4. So let's go to positive 4. There it is. On your graph, yeah, we're gonna graph it. What is my slope? Look at it. Negative 3 over 1. That means 3 steps down and 1 to the right. So let's go from here 3 steps down. 1, 2, 3. 1 to the right. Plot your point. Do it again. 1, 2, 3. 1 to the right. Plot your point. Do it again. 1, 2, 3. 1 to the right. Plot your point. Graph your line. So let's graph that in blue. There it is. Let's let's graph our inverse. And by the way, this is f of x. Okay? Our inverse in red, we're going to start at 1 1/3. 1 1/3. So let me zoom in so you guys can see where 1 1/3 is at. 1 1/3 is about right there. 1 1/3. All right. And what is the slope? The slope says down 1 and 3 to the right. Down 1, 3 to the right. So look how I'm going to count. Down 1 and 3 to the right. 1, 2, 3. Do it again. 1 down, 1, 2, 3. Do it again. 1 down, 1, 2, 3. Graph your line in red for that one. All right, so let me zoom out. There's our graph. Now, let me make this a little bit smaller. According to what we saw earlier, we said if I was to draw the line y equals x, look up, guys. There it is, y equals x. Is the blue one a reflection of the red one? Yes, it is. Why? Because the y equals x is a mirror. Now, for tonight's home plate, if your blue one does not reflect the red one, then you made a mistake. Okay? So let me go step by step to make sure we got it. Let's see. Do we know how to find the inverse? Yes, Mr. Q, we've been practicing for a whole month. Thank you for doing the warm-up. There it is, the first part. Second part, can we check or verify? Yes, we first verify for f of x and substituting the inverse. Then we verify for the inverse by substituting f of x. And last but not least, we graph the original in blue and the inverse in red. But remember, you needed to rewrite this so that you have a slope and a y-intercept. Okay? All right, from 1 to 5, how comfortable are you up to right there? Yeah, 4, 5, 4, 5, okay. All right, I'm going to stop right there. Just to recap, let's see. I'm going to go back to the beginning. Do we know how to do the mapping portion? Yes. Do we know how to do the graphing and plotting? Yes. And do we know how to check the inverses and find the inverse and graph? Yes. All right, I'll stop right there. Once again, tutoring today, be there or be elsewhere. All right. And by the way, it's free.